5 years ago, I really didn't feel like the best version of myself. I didn't really realize the extent to which that went, but I definitely knew I could feel better. I was, tired all the time. I had difficulty stringing even a simple sentence together, and it was very hard for me to maintain focus on anything that I was doing, among other ailments. I was feeling bloated all the time. I was certainly dealing with pretty severe depression, which I was on medication for, and overall, just not feeling like, myself. I had spent many years yo-yo dieting, always trying the next new fad, just curious what was out there. And of course, nothing ever worked, or it did temporarily, but then often left me feeling even worse. So obviously not a very sustainable long-term thing. It wasn't until my parents came down and told me about something called the BANTING diet, which is basically a low-carb ketogenic way of eating. And they told me that they had lost weight and they felt really great and they were eating bacon and eggs for breakfast every morning. And I'm like, hold up. I've been told those are not diet foods. Like, what do you mean you've been eating bacon and eggs and losing weight? So I immediately was intrigued. And so I decided I was going to give it a go. I ate a ketogenic diet for about a year and a half before I started hearing about this animal-based carnivore diet. And initially, I won't lie, I thought it was absolutely bonkers. Like, what are you talking about? You don't eat vegetables, you eat anything. How do you poop? Like, nothing added up. I was definitely like a little off put by the concept, but I kept hearing about it. And I was like, you know what? I'm not one to turn down an experiment, because even in the realm of low carb, I tried, different ways of doing keto, different macros and everything. So I'm like, why don't I try this? What's 30 days? And that was about 3.5 years ago, and I never looked back. Hi guys, I'm Alicia. You may know me on Instagram as Fat Fueled, and now here on YouTube as the Fat Fueled Carnivore. And I'm here to talk about my experience optimizing my health with a low carb, animal-based way of eating. Changing my diet has enabled me to get back to a healthy weight, regain my energy and focus, and feel like the best version of myself again. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, feel free to share, and make sure to subscribe and follow me on Instagram at FatFuels. As mentioned earlier, I've been following a low-carb diet for the past 5 years and have been more animal-based for the past 3.5. So today, I wanted to share with you my top 10 benefits to an animal-based diet. Number 1 is more energy. I can't tell you how often I would struggle to get out of bed, always be rushing to have a coffee or 2 or 3, experience the afternoon slump after lunch, like desperately needing a nap, just really struggling to get through the day, just a constant chronic fatigue. And that's really frustrating, right? Especially when you're trying to focus on school or work or even just spend time with loved ones. So for me, having the added benefit of energy, like waking up in the morning, ready to take on the day, not feeling like I'm in desperate need of a nap, not feeling like I need to nap ever at all. It's just been so liberating to me. And that's something that I think is one of the best benefits of carnivore. Number 2 is better mental focus. So for me, as I mentioned, I used to have a really hard time articulating my thoughts. I would often struggle to string together a sentence and generally just had a really hard time keeping focused on things. So with an animal-based way of eating, I find it so much easier now to hunker down and really focus on things and not get too distracted, as well as be able to articulate myself much more clearly. Number 3 is better mood. I think this is up there with increased energy as being one of my favorite benefits of an animal-based diet. For me, it's so important to be able to regulate my mood. As I mentioned previously, I dealt with severe depression for many years. I was on medication, and through a low-carb, high-fat, carnivorous, animal-based way of eating, I was actually able to wean myself off my medication, and now I manage my symptoms of depression through diet alone. So that has been incredibly liberating for me, and I'm very much appreciative of that. And I would say I just generally have an overall sense of calm now. Some people refer to it as the zero carb zen. And I think that sounds just about right. Generally, I am just always in a really fantastic mood. And then I can't say that that has always been the case for me. Number 4 is weight loss. I didn't want to highlight this as being the number one benefit because to me, while this way of eating certainly can be a great tool for weight loss, I don't think it's anywhere near the top benefit. There's so many other amazing benefits of this way of eating that I feel people tend to overlook because they're so focused on the weight loss portion of it. And because of that specifically, I wanted to not have that be the main highlight of this thing. It definitely is great, and I did lose about 30 pounds eating this way. But for me, my biggest motivation is probably my previous point. It's just, better mood, more energy, and some of the other things we're going to talk about in this video. Number 5 is easier periods and no PMS. I used to have debilitating periods. I would be bedridden for the first 2 or 3 days of bleeding because my cramps were so bad. And also leading up to that, I was not a very nice person. I was irritable. I would also get other symptoms of that, lower back pain and headaches and all of this stuff. And since going animal-based, I personally have not experienced any of those symptoms anymore. In fact, I had to install a period tracker on my phone because otherwise I literally had no idea it was even coming. So that has been huge for me. That was awful. Number 6 is no more sweets cravings. So this is always great, but it became especially apparent during my time of the month that I no longer was like, I need chocolate. It was such an intense craving before, but I don't feel that at all anymore. And I attribute that to the fact that, of course, I'm not eating sugar, but I've also cut out all sweeteners, artificial and natural, from my diet. Number 7 is no more bloating or inflammation. So this was, I feel like I'm saying this for every point. This is huge, but these are all been really positive benefits for me, and I'm very excited about them. So the bloating is, of course, something that is really frustrating. I remember eating meals and just feeling so like and gross, and my pants would be tight, and you might get, gassy and just like not feeling good. And that's not something that I experience anymore at all. And the same goes for inflammation. So it's funny, I didn't realize that this had such an effect, but I remember eating off plan. I had a treat meal that included some sugar in it, which is known to be highly inflammatory. Almost immediately, my knees, I could feel were like throbbing. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. I didn't even realize that I had knee issues until I ate something that exacerbated that particular inflammation. So very interesting. Number 8 is stronger hair and nails. My hair and nails have never been like stronger and nicer. I get compliments all the time on that. This is perhaps maybe a more vain benefit, but it's something that I really appreciate and I think is indicative of good health, right? Because if you're not eating enough, if you're not nourishing your body well, you will notice that in your hair and your nails. They're going to be falling out. They're going to be brittle. They're just not going to look shiny and luscious and everything like that, right? So that has been a really awesome benefit. And on that note, number 9 is clearer skin. And not only clearer skin, but honestly, just a very healthy glow to the skin all the time. Like people call it like the meat glow. And while I think a good skincare routine certainly can help, I do believe that beauty comes from within, and what you're putting in your body and nourishing it with will be reflected externally. For me, that has also been really, really great. Not that I ever had like terrible acne or anything, but I did notice that the few smaller problems that I had certainly did clear up. And then again, like I said, just a natural glow to the skin, which has been really fantastic and nice and like youthful and fun. We like that. And the last one, this has been an interesting one. So as a fair-skinned person, I have always been so prone to sunburns. I honestly could look at the sun the wrong way and get like a 3rd-degree burn. It was ridiculous. And so going outside when I was younger, I would always be covered head to toe in like SPF 100, or, you know, have to go outside for only 5 minutes at a time and then stay super covered up. But something that I noticed that was so curious, that when I went low carb, I was no longer incredibly sensitive to the sun. Like I could spend a significant amount of time outside without sunscreen or any other kinds of protections and not get burnt. That is something that's really cool. For me, that has been like hugely liberating, because I was like low-key allergic to the sun growing up. Not fun. So that concludes my top 10 benefits of an animal-based carnivore way of eating. I would love to hear from you in terms of what you've experienced. So let me know in the comments below all the benefits that you've had. Are they the same as me? Are they different? What were you most surprised of? I would love to hear them. Thanks, guys.